Well, good afternoon and welcome. I'm Tom Fox, Director of Blacksburg Transit, and I'd like to thank you for coming out today, braving the weather for this, for our big reveal. I think you'll find that it was well worth a little bit of chilly weather, just to want you to see what we have to show you today. The bus behind me is the first of 57 vehicles that will be wrapped with the new design that will be rolling out over the next few months into service. Before we do the big reveal, we'd like to have the key partners in this project to make brief remarks. We'll hear from the Town of Blacksburg Mayor, we'll hear from the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we'll hear from Virginia Tech. So I'll begin with the Mayor, Leslie Hager-Smith. Mayor Hager-Smith has been in Blacksburg since 1982. Her interest in town government took root during her years as a reporter and columnist for the Roanoke Times. She was formerly the director of the Downtown Merchants of Blacksburg, a small business owner, and she directed community programs for the YMCA at Virginia Tech. She holds a bachelor's degree in journalism, awarded magna cum laude with the University of Georgia. The mayor has served 3 terms as vice mayor and was elected the mayor of the town of Blacksburg in 2017. Mayor Hager-Smith.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you all for coming today. It's a delight to be here to welcome you on this occasion. I want to begin by mentioning what many of us have come to agree on, and that is that regionalism really is our future. Neighborliness is maybe everything that matters, but it's not only our future, it's been our past too. The partnerships and relationships with the community and the university, the region and the state, they've all been brokered by Blacksburg Transit in many ways. BT touches all of these. Obviously, our community benefits from the Blacksburg Transit relationship with safe, affordable transportation around the town. But that's not the whole story. The town's partnerships with Virginia Tech and the state through the Department of Rail and Public Transportation are long established and have existed since the beginning of Blacksburg Transit in 1983. The federal government has also financially supported public transportation since its inception in this area. Within the last 10 years, the town has expanded its partners to include Christiansburg, where 3 routes operate. BT provides the connection to residents of both communities, along with educational, entertainment, and employment opportunities in each. The partnership is stronger than ever as we work cooperatively on projects such as the New River Bike Share program and the developing multimodal transit facility on campus. Last year, BT carried over 3.7 million customers, the most ever, and we expect to set a new record in the new year. Larger buses have also been added to the fleet to be able to carry more passengers with a single bus. 4 more bendy buses have recently been received. Blacksburg Transit is poised to continue adding service to respond to both the region and Virginia Tech's growth. And now, on this day, we are especially excited about the new look, which is replacing the original design that was developed 35 years ago. And now, on that note, I'd like to add just a little bit of personal history. When Eric, my husband, and I moved here in 1982, 35 years ago, some of the first people we met were Michael Connolly and his wife, Lisa Green. We marveled at the huge responsibility they'd taken on. They were in their 20s like we were. We were all first-time homeowners in Woodbine. But it seemed that they were part of something, building something really big, much larger than themselves. Michael was the brand new director of the Blacksburg Transit. He was attending public meetings in a flashy suit. And Lisa Green, his wife, was a newly minted graphic designer. And she set about creating a visual brand for the new system. So I like to think they've moved on now, but I like to think how they would enjoy the new life that we are breathing into the system today. They're former neighbors with new buses, new technology, and a great new look. The work of those before us continues, and so will ours. I'd like to introduce you now to Chris Hurst, our delegate in the 12th District, the Virginia House of Delegates. representing parts of Montgomery and Pulaski counties and all of Giles County in the city of Radford. He was elected in November last year to a 2-year term, and he currently serves on the House Education and Science and Technology committees. Prior to serving as delegate, Chris was evening anchor at WDBJ for 6 years, telling the stories of people in Southwest Virginia. During that time, he was recognized as Media Person of the Year by the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Citizen of the Year by the Roanoke NAACP, and Your Local Hero by the readers of the Roanoke magazine. He twice won a regional Edward R. Murrow Award and was nominated for an Emmy Award. As a journalist, he's been a fierce advocate for families struggling for access to mental health care and equality in education for students with special needs. He's investigated workforce development challenges for the careers of the future, and he's also documented the dramatic rise of child abuse and opioid addiction in our area. Hurst was raised outside of Philadelphia. His father works in advertising and was a small business owner and mechanic. His mother was a teacher and worked for nonprofits, including as director of programs for the National Constitution Center. Chris earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in broadcast journalism from Emerson College. He loves to read, kayak, and hike the Blue Ridge Mountains with his Labrador Border Collie mix, Sophie. Is she here today, Chris?
No, she's not here, but I also enjoy long walks on the beach, too.
I didn't make any of this up.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. It's good to be with all of you. And if we just had one more journalism degree winner here, then we would have a caucus that we could form, I'm sure. So it was wonderful to be with you. I know that it's a cold, I wouldn't even say chilly, it's a cold day, snowy day, but it's a time of spring renewal. And we have a new mayor. I'm proud to be your new delegate. And we have a time for a new look for Blacksburg Transit. So this is a wonderful time, even though you all are a little cold to be here with us all today. So I'll keep my remarks brief so we can actually check out the new look and get warm as soon as possible. So proud to be able to serve the 12th District, which includes most of the town of Blacksburg, parts of Montgomery County, in the House of Delegates. And just came back from the first session in Richmond, and a lot of that was meeting with a lot of state agencies to be able to have the kinds of relationships we need to make sure that our part of Virginia gets looked after and looked upon. And one of the things we talked about a lot at this past legislative session was some funding resources for Northern Virginia, for Metro. Public transportation is one of the most important aspects of our budgetary process in Richmond, and trying to make sure that we have a focus on the Roanoke and New River valleys is extremely important to that end. We have to make sure that we continue the work to connect the Roanoke and New River valleys, and that we also do a better job of connecting the New River Valley as a whole. Blacksburg Transit, of course, has been a leader in that since the early 80s, and Hager-Smith said it exactly right. More than 3 million people ride Blacksburg Transit every year, about 500,000 people per month when students are here, and the Department of Rail and Public Transit at the state level has really helped try and match the needs for what we have here in the town of Blacksburg and in the New River Valley. Just in this past fiscal year and in the fiscal year upcoming, depending on how the final budget process all shakes out, more than $1 million in state funds and grants will be coming to Blacksburg Transit. That's up $300,000 in the past 5 years, not only in operating but also in capital outlays too. So the investment from Richmond is there. It needs to be more, but it is certainly there. And we know that those funds are put to good use because public transportation benefits everybody as a whole here in this community, improving the environment. That study they did a few years ago, Blacksburg Transit with VTTI, showed how diligent they are in trying to have dynamic route structures and trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which is so crucial to the values that we have here in the town of Blacksburg, being good stewards of our environment, managing congestion and supporting the economy. Remember, Blacksburg Transit is one of the main employers of Virginia Tech students when they're here in school, and so it contributes to the local economy in that way. And of course, having more people take the bus, and fewer people on the roads improves our quality of life for the entire town. It's crucial for us to continue to want to develop ways for people to enjoy public transportation here in the town of Blacksburg. And as a resident of Blacksburg, of course, we have seen those cream and maroon buses going around the town and going to Christiansburg to the mall. And I think you will all be very, very delighted with the new, fresh, renewed look that we have with Blacksburg Transit that we're going to unveil today. So it's a beginning of the departure from the old and the arrival of the new. And the new bus graphics represent more than just pretty colors on a bus. I really do think that it shows the investment that the town has in public transportation and the citizens who use our buses here in Blacksburg. Safe, affordable, and accessible access to opportunities throughout the area. So I'm just proud to be here to help show off the new look. And thank you all very much for being here. And I will turn it over to Sherwood here, who's going to continue on with our presentation.
Well, in the interest of the cold, and Mayor Hager-Smith and Delegate Hurst have captured many of the things I was going to say. Let me give you an anecdotal situation that talks about the very nature of the partnership that exists between Blacksburg Transit and Virginia Tech. As you all likely know, yesterday was a snow day. It was the first snow day for Virginia Tech this year, and the students were beginning to wonder if they were going to have the annual cadet versus civilian snowball fight. If you were on campus, you saw 500 or 600 students on the drill field doing just exactly that. What makes this snow day unique, though, from all others in the 10 years that I've been here, is that this time Virginia Tech closed while the BT continued to operate. Now, why is that significant? It's significant because, typically speaking, the BT operation determines whether we close or continue to operate. Now, I have to tell you, as the guy who makes the decision about whether the university closes or opens with a delayed opening, it's not a very good place for me to know that somebody outside Virginia Tech is actually making the decision for me whether I'm going to close the university. But that speaks to the very heart of the partnership that exists between Virginia Tech, Blacksburg, and Blacksburg Transit. You know, 35 years ago, this partnership started with 6 buses, 1983, 6 buses in a very forward-thinking way to eliminate traffic on campus and in town. This idea of Blacksburg Transit, with the help of federal and state funding, that's grown today to 69 buses, and as Mayor Hager-Smith said, this year will exceed 4 million riders. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why the Blacksburg Transit drives whether Virginia Tech stays open or not. Because 90% of those 4 million riders are Virginia Tech students, faculty, and staff. That's an incredible number, and it's an incredible partnership that, frankly, we are codependent on one another in order for our operation. That's a great place for us to be. The cream and striped buses are as much a part of Virginia Tech's culture now as Hokey-Stone. So just like Hokey-Stone is part of the sense of place, the sense of community that we build on campus, so are the cream and striped buses that are BT buses. And that's why Virginia Tech alumni are the most connected to their university of any in the world. That's because of Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, and who we are, the partnership we've created. So today, just as the university went through a branding exercise just recently with Tracy Vosberg, I embrace Blacksburg Transit looking to the future with this bright new colors, the logos that we're going to see in a few minutes. I think we've made great strides since those days of 6 buses to today, And I think the next 35 years hold just as much promise as the past 35. So thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Neil Sherman, Director of Transit Programs for the Department of Rail and Public Transportation. And my bio mainly says that I've been at DRPT forever. And some people say I was there before they actually created the agency. But the Department of Rail and Public Transportation is pleased to be at an event like this today. We've had a very close working relationship with Blacksburg, as the other speakers have mentioned, and we really like to celebrate these opportunities. And a project such as this, which is so forward-thinking, is something that DRPT has enjoyed participating with, as we were with the feasibility study for this project and the capital. It's just another example of things that we like to see around the state of an agency thinking outside the box. And another example, which is going through that today, is another state program that BT is involved with, which is Smart Scale, which has made it possible to purchase some of the articulate buses with state funding. And some of these will be on the road here shortly and be delivered here also. But this is the type of partnership we want to continue on, and I know everyone wants to see the unveiling. And what I really was thinking about on the ride up here today, I actually graduated from school here in 1978, and thinking about days like this prior to that graduation date, going out and starting your car and hoping that it would start, or maybe hoping it wouldn't start so you could go back inside and skip class. We used to kid about having a bus service who would take us to class, and maybe on those late evenings downtown. And when I started working for the state and Blacksburg started in the early 80s, it was really something that I couldn't imagine, and the popularity, as everyone has stated here, how it's grown so much. It's one of the things, as a long-term state employee, I've really enjoyed seeing growing. So I just want to say congratulations to BT and thanking them for having us here today.
So I'd like to ask our special guests to join me at the bus for the reveal at this moment. And while they're coming, I'd like to recognize Kelly Johnson, who's here from Senator Warner's office. Appreciate you coming. So I'll just grab a section of the sheet. 3, 2, 1, go.